Welcome to Audit Archive, where we run you through some of the most questionable and rather atrocious police encounters. Today, we're looking at a case where a police officer harassed and arrested two car enthusiast friends who were walking home and happened to show interest in a parked vehicle that they liked. On April 8, 2023, two good friends, also roommates, were at a liquor establishment where they had several drinks to enjoy the Saturday night. After spending some time there, they both decided to head back home and call it a night. However, as they walked down the street with their arms on each other's shoulders, they spotted a car that they were curious about. So, naturally, they walked up to the car and took a closer look, but made sure to maintain a good distance and keep their hands off someone else's property. The series of events were observed by an officer with the Marion Police Department, who assumed that both men were potentially tampering with the vehicle. Soon enough, the officer drove up to the men and made contact with them as part of her investigation.
I missed the first road. We're in Columbia.
What's up, guys? Maine and Columbia. How's it going? Where are you guys headed to?
Right down South Main.
Okay. So,
It's like first, second one on the
Maine, Columbia.
so you guys coming from SP, right?
Yeah, we're just walking.
I got that. Thank
I
you.
mean, you've been drinking, right?
A little bit.
You're all over the sidewalk. I seen you walking between those two cars up there. What was up with that?
We were examining the Honda Civic's engine because we were actually interested in if it was riced out or if he actually had something real nice going on with it. He has a D-Series.
Okay. But that's not like your car? You don't know those people?
We were just looking at it.
Okay.
We can look at it all intact.
It's not illegal unless we fuck with it.
We didn't touch it.
I mean, it is suspicious, right? And you
Yeah.
guys are obviously intoxicated.
We were just looking at it. We're interested in race cars.
Okay. Where are you guys headed again?
Just right down the street. Probably you can follow us or
Where
drive
at?
us home.
What's the address?
507 South
507.
Main.
Right off the bat, it's easy to tell that the officer had no intention of trying to figure out what was going on. She claimed that the reason she was speaking to them was that they walked in between two parked cars and stood around for some time, which was suspicious. She then added that they were all over the sidewalk, although subsequent evidence revealed this to be an inaccurate account of the situation. Now, it's worth noting that the two men, namely Thomas Simony on the right and Casey on the left, both happened to make it clear that they were simply checking the car out and did not tamper with it in any way. This statement alone should have been enough to clear out the officer's suspicion of potential vandalism or robbery. Speaking of which, it's crucial to highlight the absence of any concrete evidence or indication of a crime being committed. The officer's initial claim of suspicious behavior was based solely on conjecture and subjective judgment. Without witnessing any actual wrongdoing or receiving reports of criminal activity, her approach appears unjustified and biased. Lastly, Mr. Casey appeared to be very cooperative, which is great, but he answered every question the officer asked, which often does more harm than good. According to the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, individuals have the right against self-incrimination. This fundamental protection ensures that no person can be compelled to be a witness against themselves in a criminal case. It grants individuals the right to remain silent and not provide potentially incriminating information. Regardless, the officer continued to harass the men and even began her efforts to violate both their constitutional rights, as you will now see.
You can drive us there if you want.
I mean, that's not how it works, right?
Free tax. For you.
I mean, it kind of is.
Is it?
No,
little
don't listen to this man.
You guys got ID on you?
Oh my god, do you have my
Not
wallet?
unless
No.
I've committed a crime.
Yeah, you have. You're intoxicated and you're not walking.
She still has my wallet and my card. We have to go back.
I have it.
Do I have another unit
Sorry for
coming?
the further interruption. You haven't?
68 for another.
Yeah, it is.
It's legal to walk home drunk, right?
No, not if you're a risk of harm to yourself.
No,
But you guys are
we're-
stumbling all over the sidewalk.
No,
And
we're
you were
good.
just messing with somebody's car.
No, we weren't messing with
No.
it. I promise. We were
Do you have
literally
proof
just
of that?
I promise we were
I've
just
asked you for your
camera
ID.
for it.
I've asked you
No,
for
he
your
actually-
ID, right? Do you
he's
understand what
You can
failure?
ask for the ID. That's perfectly lawful.
Do you understand what failure to disclose is?
Clear.
I understand what failure
Okay. Do you understand it's an arrestable offense?
I understand it's a restaurant.
Okay, I'm not trying to make your life harder and hassle
I'm
you, but
trying
if this
to
is how you're going to act, then
listen.
that's what's going to happen.
You can talk to him as much as you want.
50 is
It's
good a deal.
different between the two of us.
I'm still compliant.
Good.
You're not. You're detained. You're not going to go anywhere.
Like that?
Offense.
I've already explained to you you're
What
not.
is the
already explained to you. Are you going to listen or are you just going to talk over me? Because you're going to end up in handcuffs.
So you're going to talk to him and you're going to talk to me.
Okay, I'm talking to you right now.
What's the offense?
I've explained to you already that you're drunk and you're stumbling down the sidewalk and you were just messing with some random person's car.
I haven't messed with it.
Are you going to provide ID or not?
The officer had now officially detained both Mr. Simony and Mr. Casey. But was it a lawful detainment? To clarify this, no, police can detain you for a variety of reasons, but they must have a reason. The following is not the full list of reasons why someone may be detained, but here are 3 examples. First, they can stop you if they believe that you witnessed a crime, or have other information that may help them investigate a crime. Second, police can detain you if there is a warrant for your arrest. Third, they can detain you if they have a reasonable suspicion that you committed a crime, are in the process of committing a crime, or are about to commit a crime. Bear in mind that a reasonable suspicion is a clear, specific, and unbiased belief that you committed, are committing, or are about to commit a crime. Now we can assume that the officer was justified in pulling up next to the men and initially making contact with them out of pure suspicion, sure. However, once both of them dispelled the suspicion by telling the officer what was up, that should have been enough for the investigation to end right there. By extension, the detainment was arguably unlawful following this, and the officer's demand for ID could hence be deemed unjustified. Though Mr. Casey complied, Mr. Simony refused to have his rights violated, even though he was threatened with arrest. The officer claimed that she could take him to jail for failure to disclose personal information. Before we discuss that charge, let's clear out the current reason for detainment. The officer stated that walking home while drunk was illegal. This was partially inaccurate. She cited section 2917.11b from the Ohio Revised Code, which states that no person while voluntarily intoxicated shall do either of the following: 1. In a public place or in the presence of 2 or more persons, engage in conduct likely to be offensive or to cause inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm to persons of ordinary sensibilities, which conduct the offender, if the offender were not intoxicated, should know is likely to have that effect on others. 2. Engage in conduct or create a condition that presents a risk of physical harm to the offender or another, or to the property of another. Clearly, both men did not engage in any of the described conduct. They were simply walking home and did not exhibit offensive or alarming behavior, nor did they pose a risk of harm to themselves or others. Despite this, the officer decided to immediately and ridiculously escalate the situation, essentially exposing her tyranny.
I promise you not.
You're under arrest for failure to disclose. Put your palms together like your brand. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say could be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney if you cannot afford one. Won't be a problem for you. If you choose to speak to me at any time, you can decide to stop and exercise your right to remain silent or have an attorney present during any questioning. Do you understand?
She already told you.
You're on body cam footage.
So are you. So are you. It's on. It's right here.
Alright, do you have anything illegal on you?
Only an attitude, I suppose.
Okay, we're gonna walk over here to the car. This officer's gonna search you. No need to get hurt him?
Only my ego, I suppose.
So we were just like, hey, what's he got under the Civic with you? Or just chilling. Okay. How much are you doing? 4 shots.
Not a risk.
4 shots, 1 screw. We're just having a good time. We ain't been out in a while. Where you working at? I'm a UPS driver. That's why.
Are you gonna tell me your name or?
I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you.
Do you understand they're gonna keep you in
I've
the jail?
understood
until
that
they
I have
figure out who
done
you
nothing
are? Okay.
wrong to be put in cuffs. I've walked down the street, and you, my friend, a cop, who turns their lights on to turn red lights green, has pulled me over to do nothing. You know what's funny? As I'm going to sit in the cop car and do nothing.
Okay.
And at the end of
nothing.
it, I'm going to end up with a lawsuit.
Okay.
And you're going to end up with a disciplinary action. Because I've done nothing.
23, 24 years old.
Am I driving? No. Am I walking down the street?
She didn't pull me over.
You don't need to yell at me.
Listen.
You do not need to yell at me. I have
Freedom of speech.
right. Like an adult.
I am an adult.
You know, you're acting like a
I
child.
was walking down the street and a child pulled me over for nothing. all of this body cam footage is going to be played. The jury is going to love the fact that you pulled me over for nothing. The fact that a woman saw me walking around
He's not getting picked up.
stumbling.
Spread your feet.
Freedom of speech, buddy. Do something to make my lawsuit even bigger. Do it. I'd love it.
Hope for your sake there's no women on the jury.
I'd hope for your sake that the jury loves cops as much as I do. Open the cop car door. I'd love to sit in that. I'd love to.
Yeah, we live together. 507 South Main.
Yourself.
I'm not getting anything close to return and leave, and there's nothing close to that in-house.
As seen in the footage, soon after another unit arrived at the scene as backup, the officer decided to place Mr. Simony under arrest for failure to disclose personal information. This was the only reason given while placing him in handcuffs. Note how she didn't mention any intoxication, any disorderly conduct, or anything that she initially accused him of. This proved that she essentially retaliated just because he refused to provide ID. According to section 2921.29 of the Ohio Revised Code, it stated that no person who is in a public place shall refuse to disclose the person's name, address, or date of birth when requested by a law enforcement officer who reasonably suspects either of the following. 1. The person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a criminal offense. 2. The person witnessed any of the following. A. An offense of violence that would constitute a felony under the laws of this state. B. A felony offense that causes or results in or creates a substantial risk of serious physical harm to another person or to property. C. Any attempt or conspiracy to commit or complicity in committing any offense. Clearly, this statute did not apply to Mr. Simony, since any suspicion of a crime had already been cleared out. It made no sense to place him under arrest. This was done just out of retaliation. She didn't like the fact that he refused to provide ID, unlike his friend Mr. Casey, who conveniently complied. From the footage we're about to watch, it becomes more obvious that this was an act of retaliation when we see how the officers interacted with Mr. Casey and let him go without a problem, only because he provided ID and basically gave up his rights.
So I can call someone.
507 South Main.
Here's your ID bag.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have somebody that can come get you, man?
I do not. Like, they're at work, and I live alone.
You know how Thomas spells his last name?
C-I-M-N-I? I think that's it. You're not giving me the peace sign.
Maybe.
Spelling Simony is a little weird.
You said he lives with you?
Yeah, he lives with me. You can take him right to the house.
No, he's not going with me.
Oh.
So here's my dilemma, right?
I know how.
You're obviously drunk, okay?
I can walk in the room.
You weren't, right?
No, we're mostly having like a, how do I examine it? As a good guy, that doesn't look good, ADHD tripping. Don't laugh, you're making it worse. ADHD guy kind of grabbing each other's shoulders, just having us a good old time.
I mean, you guys were hooting and hollering. You were over
We're
there
having a good
in
time.
the roadway messing with somebody's car.
What's your name?
I'm Casey.
Casey. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, because we can't send you walking. Okay, you've been drinking.
Yes, sir.
So I don't think that's disputed right now.
No.
The problem is if we send you.
I didn't know I could get in trouble for walking. Honestly, I've never been in trouble.
if you-
So looking in this CAD, the names associated with that address, there's
all kinds of, because it's a renter's place, you're gonna pull up all kinds of mail I
You're
get from
fine.
my
So
students.
here's where we're at: is if you're intoxicated, if we send you walking, something were to happen on to you, that comes back on us. So all we need is someone sober to pick you up. If we can't find anyone sober, we have to take the public in-house. And I'm assuming that's probably the last thing.
This is an interesting statement made by one of the male officers on the scene. As we've heard, he claimed that if Mr. Casey did not find someone to come pick him up and drop him at home, the officers would have to arrest him for public intoxication. Now, the funny thing is that there's no law against public intoxication in Ohio. If it were illegal to simply be intoxicated in public, bars just wouldn't exist. Note that in Ohio, public intoxication is not itself a criminal offense under state law. However, the behavior of a visibly intoxicated person generally gets additional scrutiny from law enforcement. Such was clearly the case here. we can say that the officer took advantage of both men being intoxicated by using it to try and exercise her authority through the unlawful demand of ID.
I don't want to do that.
I guess I can call my home and hope they can pick me up.
At least give it a try. It's worth a shot.
I
We don't,
guess.
I mean, you've been cool with us. There's no reason. We don't want to take you.
But listen, I can show you. I live right down the street, and I did
Listen,
not know.
I believe you, man.
If you want to
Can you give me a ride?
If you're, I mean, if you're willing to.
I said, if this guy could give me a ride, you can follow me home. I'm right there with him.
So, like he explained to you, I obviously cannot let you walk. We just have to have somebody give you a ride or somebody take care of you, say, okay, I'm going to watch him until we get him home, that kind of thing. Not that you're a child, but obviously, like he said, I can't let you walk because what if
it's
you
completely understandable.
walk in front of a car and I'm not saying you will,
Offensive driving.
but it has happened.
What is... Awesome. This kid's gonna get... What an MVP.
Honestly, that's the best case scenario.
I legit don't have family. So
Are you
like,
from Marion?
right outside of Marion. A family that's kind of like not good on terms.
Are you willing to give him a ride? Okay.
What a god. I owe this man.
Okay. I mean, if he's good with it, I appreciate
I
it.
just got done doing Easter with my girl, so I'm not drinking nothing, I promise.
All right, I appreciate it, man. You too.
At this point, Mr. Casey was allowed to go, and the officers were determined to take Mr. Simony to jail for no reason at all. If both men were actually committing a crime worth charging them for, both of them would be in the patrol vehicle by now. Obviously, such was not the case. But watch what the female officer did when she got inside her patrol vehicle, where Mr. Simony was also situated.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you don't understand the law.
He's learned a lot in 23 years of life.
I'm sorry I walked on you. Use negative paper.
Please take me to jail. I'm begging you.
I don't know how accurate that is, though.
Will you read me his DS again real quick?
I've watched you multiple times. You yourself turn on red lights to pass red lights. So please take me to jail. I promise you, please take me to jail. I haven't done anything wrong. I didn't touch anybody's car. You have no proof of me touching anybody's car. Nor do you have video.
Clearly, the officer knew very well that Mr. Simony was speaking nothing but the truth. He asked her what crime he had committed, but the officer failed to give an answer. He insisted she took him to jail so he could file a lawsuit against her.
We got a mail.
What's the law I've broken? Listen, what's the law I've broken? What law have
I've already explained it to you. We're done talking, man.
What law have I broken, woman? Nothing. That's what I say, and that's what's going to happen. I have broken no laws, and that's What law have I broken? Are you going to tell me, or do I have to request the body cam footage?
You're more than welcome to do that.
You haven't told me what law I've broken.
Step out of the door.
Are you going to tell me what
Step up to the
law
door.
I've broken? What law have I broken? What law have I broken? You're fine. You're so...
Left side of the door.
What law have...
Step to the left side of the door.
I'm left. What law have I broken?
Go ahead.
Oh my God, you're such on an ego trip. It is...
Left side of the door.
What law have I broken? What law have I broken?
I haven't explained this to you.
Exactly, you can't explain it,
Step
you're
in.
dumb. What law have I broken?
Mr. Simony was transported to the Marion Hardin Multi-County Correction Center. It was reported that ultimately he was arrested for failure to disclose personal information and advised of such at the time of arrest. He was also charged with DOC intoxication when booked into the jail. Sometime later, the Marion Police Department was called to the Marion-Hardin Multi-County Corrections Center by staff, reporting that Simony assaulted 2 corrections officers. Marion PD officers were not present at the MCCC at the time of the assault incident. At the conclusion of the MPD officers' investigation, additional charges were forwarded to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office against Simony for felony assault against the corrections officers. That case is still pending review by the Marion County Prosecutor's Office as of the date of this recording. Be sure to check out our previous video where we cover another outrageous police encounter.